Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga. Coming up on the program, winners from Saturday's National Assembly by and rerun elections will receive certificates of return today in Abuja as INEC fixes February 14 for Taraba supplementary and Enugu new rerun elections. Key managers of the nation's economy, including the CBN Governor Cardoso, Finance Minister, also appeared before the House of Representatives to highlight efforts of government to manage the high cost of living, creating unease in the polity. And the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State asked the State Assembly to investigate the financials of the state government under Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Thanks again for joining us on the program. We're coming on air with the latest update from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, over the suspension of a rerun election in Enugu State due to disruptions and the inconclusive election in Taraba State on Saturday, February the 3rd. The Commission has now fixed February the 14th for both elections to take place. Regarding the suspended rerun in Ikono in the federal constituency of Akwa Ibom State, INEC in a statement says after reviews, the Commission supports the declaration of results there because registered voters in the two polling units will not affect the outcome. However, in Kunchi Sanyawa's constituency of Kano State, where the exercise was suspended due to disruptions, the election will come up at a later date due to security concerns. Meanwhile, in a few hours from now, 3 senators-elect and 15 members-elect for the House of Representatives will pick up their certificates of return from INEC headquarters in Abuja, as 27 State Assembly members-elect will do same in their states on dates to be fixed by the resident electoral commissioners. Let's now talk Rivers politics, where the caretaker chairman of the All Progressives Congress in that state, Mr. Tony Okocha, is calling on the State Assembly to investigate the financial dealings of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Mr. Okocha made this request when he paid a courtesy visit to the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mr. Martin Zamewule, at his official residence in OGRA in Port Harcourt. The Speaker assures Mr. Okocha that laws strengthening democracy in the state will continue to be enacted and that the House committees will continue to keep the governor in check.
It is our finding that a whooping sum of 144 billion, 291 million, 667,791 naira, 01 kobo have been received from federal allocation under FAC. This amount quoted here is outside internally generated revenue of the state, which is put at conservatively 10 billion naira every month. We regret that these humongous amounts have not translated to action in any way in terms of development in the state. What we see are heavily funded street processions and media presences in support for an unnecessary political imbroglio. As a party, we shall not hesitate to punish any member of our party who is in cahoots with this massive fluffing and crass financial malfeasance of our dear Rivers State funds.
The Rivers State House of Assembly is financially autonomous. That law will strengthen our independence as an arm of government. You're already aware that there has been a constitutional amendment to that effect. And what we have just done is to domesticate the acts of the National Assembly in such a way that it will function for the interest of Rivers people. Why would Rivers State not have financial autonomy? The state legislature not have it. Any democratic aspect of our life that needs touch rest assured that the 10th Assembly will do justice so that our democracy can be strengthened. We're not doing it just for ourselves. By the time we exit the Rivers State House of Assembly, those that will come after us will know that we were here and that we did what was right for our people.
President Bola Tinubu returning from his private visit to France back to the nation's capital, Abuja, late last night, being received by some members of cabinet. You can see the chief of staff to the president, as well as other members of cabinet, including the national security advisor. The president is back in the country. He's been away for a few weeks on a private visit, as the presidency describes it. So President Bola Tinubu is back in the country. So that was President Bola Tinubu returning back to the country after a private visit. But as soon as he came back, he gave a directive that food intervention should be provided by the federal government to check the shortage of food in the country. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, said this in the State House after a meeting of the Presidential Committee on Emergency Food Intervention convened by the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila. Mr. Idris said the government is concerned about what Nigerians are going through and is taking some steps to ensure Nigerians get some relief.
The President has directed that government needs to step in to stem this tide. Government will not fold its arms and see the way Nigerians are suffering in terms of the availability of these food items. Now, some of these will involve unlocking the foods that are available in most of the storage facilities around the country. You know that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has some food reserve that is going to be made available to Nigerians. Government is also talking to major millers and major commodity traders to also see what is available in their stores, to open it up so that government will provide some intervention, discuss with them, and provide some intervention to make this food available to Nigerians. What government is noticing is that actually there is still food in this country. Some people are taking advantage of the situation, especially because of the high cost, the rise in or the depreciation in the value of our currency. That has led to the cost of these food items also going up.
Now, while the federal government is working on providing food for the country, the House of Representatives has called for immediate intervention of government in reducing the cost of living in the country. The House, through a motion by member Mr. Ishiaka Ibrahim, asked the federal government to invest in high-impact measures. Meanwhile, the Finance Minister, Mr. Edun, and the CBN Governor, Mr. Cardoso, appeared before lawmakers to update them on the results of the ongoing reforms by the government. National Assembly correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
Members of the House of Representatives are back after the by-elections conducted over the weekend. The pressing issue of the cost of living in the country is raised as a matter of urgent national importance. The House calls for federal investment in impactful measures while appealing to stakeholders in the production chain to be more realistic in price increments on their goods and services. The Ministers of Finance, Budget and National Planning, The CBN governor and the FIRS chairman are admitted into the chamber, and the debate is kicked off by the deputy speaker.
We're going to start with the FIRS.
One after the other, the invited guests speak on the state of the economy from their various perspectives.
Given this economic condition and with the promise of Mr. President, what we need to do is to re-strategize within to make sure that we bring more people into tax net. So without increasing the tax rate, that will be able to meet the targets. And that is what has led to us restructuring.
The urgency of the matter is not lost on us at the central bank. And I really want to assure you that we're working tirelessly with colleagues from across government, including with the leadership of this House, to bring lasting solutions.
We are not going to take the easy way out. And more than that, the budget provided more money, both on nominal and in real terms, than has ever been provided in the priority sectors.
Where we are as a nation economically is a much, much better place than we were on the 29th of May, 2023. If we look at the finances of the government today, there has been benefit to the Federation account. And likewise, there have been other benefits which have accrued as a result of the changes that have been made.
They respond to questions from lawmakers on improving the economy and its impact on the cost of living, which is generating pockets of protests across the country.
This is a good news, quite frankly. It's good news that there's sufficient enough investor confidence returning back to the market for people to feel comfortable to do that volume of transactions. That's the good news. So I think it's something that we should be pleased about, and it's something that we expect will continue to get better as the reform process continues to gather steam.
Number one road to salvation is getting crude oil exports up. It is God-given. The price is at $80, $77/$80. You can't get much higher than that. In the days when we had $100 billion of revenue, the oil price wasn't that high, but production was at 2.2 million barrels. You can do the mathematics. In short, our easiest and quickest route to a better living standard for all Nigerians in the short term is raising oil production, oil exports, oil sales, bringing in foreign exchange.
This is the second in the series of sectoral debates organized by the House to address concerns in various sectors of the country. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
So the managers of our economy, from the FIRS, the CBN governor, the finance minister, and coordinating minister of the economy, as well as the minister of budget, all appearing to explain what is going on with the country's economy. We're following what's happening in the National Assembly. Any moment from now, we expect also that managers of our security architecture, I mean the service chiefs, should be appearing before the House, or the Senate, rather, to brief the members of the Senate as well as an entire nation on what efforts is going on to make sure we are safer out there. It appears everywhere you turn, there's a bit of concern here and there. So these managers of different sectors are explaining their position as much as possible. But our focus on the program today, which is going to be our focus for conversation, is what happened at the House of Representatives, where the managers of the economy, as we'll say, were trying to explain what the reforms, the target of the reforms, as well as the results they are seeing so far. I've been joined on the program via Zoom by an economist, Mr. Femi Dagoro. Thank you so much, Mr. Dagoro. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know whether you had you listened to some of the things that were said by all of the officials of government. So a bit of highlight, which will form my question. The FIRS boss said that he was talking about expanding the tax net, basically optimization. The CBN governor says that the solutions that they are putting in place is working because of the traction they are seeing in terms of investor confidence. The budget manager, the Minister of Budget, is talking about the fact that when you look at the budget, there are priority sectors which are targeted in the budget to revamp the economy. But of interest is what was said by the Minister of Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy, where it said between 2013 May and now we're in a better place. So when you juxtapose that statement with the reality on the street, how do we reconcile that position?
Well, I think majority of Nigerians will want clarification from the Minister of Finance on that particular statement. When you say we are better off, well, what does that really mean? Are we in terms of what? That needs a better clarification. But in reality, if you ask any Nigerian citizen today that genuinely earns his or her living wage or, poverty wage or minimum wage, they will tell you something in the opposite. And that is the truth. And when the minister also said that $80 per barrel, how many barrels are we producing? What about the ones we've sold? And what about the ones we've sold as collateral? We have to be clear about some of these things and be realistic. And it is not just good enough to say, okay, we just need to be selling and we'll be making money and we'll be feeling good in the next few weeks and months. The president himself realized this in July when he said, he announced an emergency, on food insecurity. He declared a state of emergency on food insecurity in July. So he knew, or probably he was aware of what was going on in the country. In October 23, the World Bank food security report said it, that Northwest and Northeast will soon be in a level, whether level 3 or level 4, food insecurity crisis. So we should have known this. I mean, the people in government should have read all this report and take it seriously to begin to, warm up and to begin to prepare for this. It is not enough to say you are giving fertilizer, you are giving all these things to these people now. Even if you give them the best soil enhancer, it will not grow the product within 3 months or 2 months. Rice will not be produced, and some things will not be produced. So insecurity, food insecurity is a problem. And let us not just think that, okay, we have reserve. Where have we, kept this reserve for a while? Must we wait until when we have this kind of a crisis here and there before we say, okay, let's bring what we have in reserve? So a lot of this has not answered the people. It has not provided answer for the question, the masses, the Nigerians. This is not what they want to hear from them. And I think our lawmakers have to probe more into it.
All right. Let's bring in Mr. Nia Akisunju, who is the chairman of the Independent Media and Policy Initiative and Public Affairs Analyst, who is joining us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Mr. Dangoro has given his perspective. So I want to, what exactly are the managers of the economy, as we call them, seeing that Nigerians are not seeing, that they are putting out this positive outlook, yet the reality is different on the streets?
Well, from time to time, there are issues that impact the streets, as it were. And of course, it's the responsibility of the managers of the economy to look beyond what the street is going through or passing through. Because either as economic teams, as economic team members, or as leaders in the political hemisphere, the essential requirement of leadership is to be able to look beyond the present. What, of course, economists will say the short term. Yes, we have found ourselves in this situation, and it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. Increased cost of living or high cost of living, it has become an issue across the globe, either in the Western world. We have seen people protested in UK, we have seen people protested in states of the United States and all that. So this is where we have found ourselves. The responsibility of the government is to find a way out of it. And I think if we do an analysis of the bouquet of policies that have been deployed, over the last 7 to 8 months, I think you will see indicators of the government being conscious, deliberately conscious of the challenges and how to resolve those challenges. Our guest, Mr. Daguro, on the other side, spoke about the government perhaps not understanding the issues at play in terms of the eventuality of food scarcity. But I know that sometimes in between August and September, the federal government granted states, all the 36 state governments, including the FCT, sum of 5 billion intervention each, to provide emergency food for their states. And at that level too, there was also a collaboration of 500,000 hectares of land intervention by the federal government in collaboration with the state too. And of course, we also know that it's not possible, for you to start cultivating the land now, and the fruits of the land or the harvest of the land will yield immediately. It will take some time. So the fact that the government is conscious of it and is applying itself, for me, is a major consideration, on the part of the government. This challenge is not peculiar to Nigeria. It is historical. We have always gone through a boom and bust cycle in the country. Unfortunately, since 2014, thereabout, what we have had the experience of in terms of our economic life has been the bust cycle. So while between 2003 and 2013, we had a crude oil boom cycle, and it's as if everything was good, You didn't even need to have any policy in place because we were more or less drinking, literally from our crude oil. But that stopped since 2014, So it had been about applying ingenuity to create stability in the environment. So the way to go is what I think these policymakers are going. Understanding the issues, applying the right policy. At the level of the CBN, we have heard how the CBN is trying to clear off its obligation, the forest obligation, which will, of course, encourage foreign investors, to come into the country, and, of course, encourage forex inflow into the country. Because now, the reality is that we suffer from a huge shortage of forex supply. So there's a need to attend to that side of the balance, the supply side. So, and if we have that right, it will likely impact the rate of exchange, so that even because the market is open now.
All right, Mr. Akishinjo, I may have to butt in here just for a moment because I understand we're due for a break. But we're going to take this break and come back, and I will have Mr. Daguro respond to some of the things we're saying because we're looking at all the numbers. Mr. Daguro, when we come back, maybe you respond to some of the things he said, as well as whether you think that the managers of the economy, what they are doing is going to put us in the right place. Join us again. Welcome back, sir. Not so much time for us to have as much conversation as we want to have, but I see here with me Mr. Femi Dagunro, an economist, joining us via Zoom, as well as Mr. Ania Akishinju, a public affairs analyst and chairman of the Independent Media and Policy Initiative. Let me come to you, Mr. Dagunro. I'm sure that you may have a few or one response. We just have like 1 minute each for both of you gentlemen, as much as possible. So let me ask you, do you think that the policy direction you're seeing from both the fiscal authorities and the monetary authorities, there is a bright future ahead for us as an economist?
Listen, let me just let you understand this clearly. You might have good policies, you might have good ideas, but the execution is what counts. How do you execute it? How do you monitor it? And then you might be, having a good direction you want to go, or you have a view of a direction you want to go. If you have good policies, you are not going the right direction, you don't get to where you want to go. So good policies enough will not solve this problem. I understand the gentleman was just saying about all these billions being released to state. What is the statistics? Where are we getting these things from? Who are the people that benefited from this palliative? I don't know where the gentleman lives, but then where I live here in Lagos, I think I can tell you people don't even understand what this palliative means again because they don't get it. And see, if you continue to give money to states, to local government, there must be pragmatic effect to monitor to see that the real people are the one getting it. Listen, it's not the law, it's not the job of a lawmaker to distribute rice and beans. It is not his job. So people have to understand, where do we get all these things from? And for how long? It is not just for a month or for a week. So these are the things I'm saying, that if you want to cultivate this habit, if you want to take care of the people, there must be statistics, there must be places, there must be arrangements, not just sometimes this ad hoc thing that somebody eats rice for 2 days and what happened for the rest 363 days ago. So these are the problems we have to plan. I understand that the government is trying to move things ahead. I understand these facts. I see them. I understand this. But the point is this: let's begin to plan ahead in the right way. Let's take the right direction. We cannot just continue to promise and say, we will do this, we will do this. Let's do one thing right, and let's begin to do things right for the people. The people want to understand us. The people want to be seen that they are taken care of. So it is not enough having all these policies. These policies are fiery to some people. They don't understand all this tourism or this English we are speaking. They want to see being practiced. They want to see the physical thing being given to them, being enjoyed. Their children who have to be filling the form.
All right, Mr. Dagoro, I think the point is you clearly enunciated.
The theory of the policy.
All right, I clearly see that you've given your explainers. Let me come back to you, to the Abuja studio. Mr. Akishunju, you've seen what he said. He said he wants the people to see the reality. Some people say this is the worst time. It's going to look better. What does better look like? Rice in May was about 35,000 naira for 50 kilogram, and now it's about 65,000 according to the FDC, and the numbers keep increasing and all of that. So what is better looking like for us if this is the worst time? Because I know you believe in what the government is doing.
Yeah, well, the rice could actually be 95,000 naira by now, if certain things are not being done. And of course, if the ongoing policies are not being applied, perhaps by the end of 2024, we wouldn't even have access to rice, So I need to correct Mr. Dagoro. The fact is that a policy that is not implementable is not a policy. It cannot be considered a policy in the first instance. And of course, there is always a time lag between the conceptualization of a policy, deployment of that policy, and the impact of the policy. And like I said earlier, here we have found ourselves, especially as a result of global dynamics. We have found ourselves in this situation. And of course, because of that withdrawal of subsidy and harmonization of forex windows, there are things happening in the economy to adjust to these policies.
All right.
But knowing that going forward, in the very, very medium term, we will be able to emerge from this darkness as it were. I am sure that the policies that are being applied are positive and practical policies. And we would be able, to benefit from them going forward.
All right, Mr. Akishunju, well noted, Mr. Ni Akishunju, the chairman, Independent Media and Policy Initiative, as well as a public affairs analyst, joining us from our Abuja studio. And Mr. Femi Dagoro, the economist, joining us via Zoom. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your insight. We do appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the program.
Appreciate.
Well, that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, your usual company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics.